Hi guys, welcome to the Lift with Ben program. My name is Ben Hughes. I'm the head coach with Southpaw Boxing. I'm going to start by taking you through the mobility warm-up exercises, and this is what we're going to be doing before we launch into any heavy stuff, help warm up the body, muscles, or your joints. It can also be used as a standalone workout that is much less intense. So on the days when perhaps we're not feeling to do anything too heavy, you could be doing all of these exercises in isolation in a nice, convenient 10 to 15 minute workout in itself. So you don't need any equipment really for this. If you have a mat and something just to be a little kinder on the knees, then great, but you don't necessarily need anything for these movements at all. In terms of how long you're actually running these for, I'll normally run them for anywhere between 30 seconds to 2 minutes, depending on if parts of my body are a little bit achier, perhaps a little stiffer, and I need to just take a little bit more time and attention in that area. But I think a good minute on each of these exercises keeps this relatively short and compact, and you could get a solid 10 to 15 minutes of working with all of this stuff. So the first exercise on the list is DownDog to UpDog. Now this is an excellent total body exercise, and I will start any of my warm-ups with this 99 times out of 100. You're going to be setting up in a high plank position and looking to push and drive the hips high towards the sky. You'll feel a good stretch in the back of the legs, your hamstring. You're going to open up the chest, the shoulders in the process, and then you're going to be coming forwards into the upwards position. And as you're doing so, looking to squeeze your butt, get a nice stretch through the front of the body, through your abs, and I'm actively pushing through the shoulders, through the ground all the time, and ensuring that I'm not simply resting on my hands. So I'm alternating between high hips in down dog position and coming forwards into an up dog position. The second exercise on the list is Eagles, where you'd be setting this up laying on your side with your legs and arms together. And what we're looking to do is open up the top of the chest and the shoulders, so your thoracic spine. The best thing to do is aim to get your shoulders flat. Don't worry too much about how far over your leg and your knee manage to get, as everyone will be a little bit different. Try and get the shoulders flat on the ground just for a second. Nice exhale when they're there. Feel the space opening up across the chest and the shoulders, and then bringing the hands back together. So imagine you're opening and closing a book with your arms and looking to reach as long as possible, then extend through and get the shoulders and arm flat on the ground, using the knee just as a counterweight to stop you rolling over onto your back. So the third exercise on the list is bridges. So setting this up, laying flat on your back, you're going to slide your feet maybe a foot away from your hips. If your feet are too close to your hips, what we're going to end up with is a little bit too much quad. And what we're looking to do is activate your glutes, back of the hips. So slide your feet out until you're about a foot away from the hip, making sure that you're driving the weight through your heels. I'm pushing my hips up towards the sky, and I'm looking to squeeze the glutes at the top. What you don't need to do is push too far at the top so that you're creating any pain or issues or pinching in your lower back, which can sometimes happen. And I'm really only looking to hinge from my sternum, which is going to be just below your rib cage. And again, I'm looking to run this for maybe 30 seconds to a minute, a little longer if we need, but a minute should be sufficient. So the fourth exercise on the list is our upright pigeon. Now I'm going to be setting this up in a high plank position, and what I'm looking to do is bring my knee up to just behind the wrist and try and get my shin as horizontal as possible. Everyone is going to be a little bit different depending on how mobile and flexible you are through your hip and through your knee. So find a position that ultimately is comfortable for your knee. That is the main thing. And allow yourself to open up the outside of your hip as you're doing so. And with this exercise, I really want to hold for maybe a couple of seconds on each side before switching the legs, as we're really looking to warm up and get things moving, not to cool down. Spider-Man with a twist. Now, this is also known as the greatest stretch in the world, but I'm going to start in a low lunge or a high plank position, and I'm looking to bring one leg up to the outside of the hands. Once I'm there, I'm bringing the inside arm, I'm reaching for the sky, pushing away from the floor so that I'm getting a stretch through my shoulders, through my chest, but also through the hip flexors on the straight leg and the outer hip on the leg that is up. Squat into a hip hinge. So I'm grabbing underneath my toes so that I can actually push down through my feet and pull with my hands. It's going to allow me to get a greater stretch as I move through this. So I'm looking to push the hips back in a hinge position, feel the hamstrings, the back of the legs open as I do so. And then I'm pulling the hips down towards the ground, separate the feet a little wider, knees out. And again, I'm looking to squeeze and pull the toes at the bottom. You feel your inner thighs, your adductors switch on, get nice and active. So I'm moving between these two movements, the hip hinge and the squat, and spending maybe a good minute or two on this one as we're hitting a lot of different muscle groups that we will be using a lot with our workouts. So for our swimmers, I'm starting in a prone position. Hands behind your head, relax to begin with. What I want you to do is then lift the chest, and I want to open up the shoulders as much as possible. So I'm looking to get range, beginning by peeling my elbows off the ground, and I'm looking to extend the arms, swimming back through, rotating the arms as I do so until I'm placing them just on the lower back. I'm coming into a relaxed position, and I'm going back exactly the way I came, starting by lifting the elbows up, getting the shoulders nice and active, pulling through the top of the shoulders, traps and back, and then rotating the shoulder joints for a full range of motion until I'm back where I started, my hands behind my head. So for my 1990 hip switches, we're doing a slightly easier version of this, you'll be pleased to hear. I'm starting sat on my butt. If you can get your knees into a 90-degree position, so 90 degrees through the knee, and I want you to try and connect one knee with the arch of your foot and allow the range of motion to occur through the hip. So try and stay sat up as tall as possible so you can't cheat. And as you're moving through, I'm looking to connect one knee with the arch of the foot, hold for a second, sitting up tall, feel the stretch in the outside of one hip and the inside of the other, and then switching the legs nice and smoothly. And you should feel the hips gradually increase in range of motion and free up a little as we do this. For our supine leg swings, you want to be laying on your back, arms going to be out to the side to stop you from rolling over, as we want to maintain fairly flat torso on the ground as we do this and really work the hip joint. And taking one leg at a time, you're going to bring the knee, the leg straight up towards the chest, and then on the way down, you're going to take it down, swing out to the side. So the movement is up with one leg and on that same leg down, out to the side. So we're just looking to bring the knee up, on the way down, swing it out to the side, gradually opening up that hip socket. Number of reps given, switch legs. If you need to run this for a little longer, obviously do so. For our standing windmills, feet are going to be wider than shoulder width apart. Going to hinge at the hip, pushing the hips back, leaning over. And what we're looking to do is get good rotation through the spine and through the torso. So I'm going to reach with my opposite arm or my opposite hand across the body, opposite foot, but I want to maintain that T shape through the arms, okay? So I'm just looking to rotate through the spine and the torso, reaching for the opposite foot, switching back
coming in the opposite direction. Again, run it for as long as you need, but I would say a good 30 seconds to a minute should be sufficient.
So for all of these exercises, what I would recommend is not that you work via repetitions, but simply that you work with time and spend maybe a minute or more or less, depending on how that particular part of your body is feeling. If you need a little bit more time and attention in that area, then take a little bit longer to work through these movements. But ultimately, a minute or so for each of these will give you a solid 10 minutes of work that you could probably reduce in time as you get more comfortable and familiar with the exercises. So now that we've completed the mobility and the warm-up, we should be feeling a little bit more ready for more intense exercises. So we're going to be moving into the proper workouts now. Let's get started.